Yeah, I do.
How old are you?
I'm 26.
Okay, and why the hell do you support the worst president of your life?
Well, I think he's a great president. So I was born in Mexico.
Right.
I immigrated here legally, and that's why I support him.
Okay, you immigrated here illegally and you support him?
Yeah, legally. So the reason
Oh,
I don't support illegal
I
immigration.
thought you said illegally. Please tell me I'm not the only one that heard that.
How would I vote for him if I was illegal?
You wouldn't have been able to vote. Okay, so yeah, it's good that you recognize that
Exactly.
undocumented immigrants can't vote. A lot of Republicans say otherwise. But anyway, so you immigrated here legally and you support them. Why?
They legally can't vote. Yeah. So I mean, I've been up here since the beginning of your live, and I just heard a lot of misinformation coming from you. And like at the beginning, you said Trump doesn't support aid for Gaza.
Yep.
So in April 25th, 2025, he says we have to be good to Gaza. Those people are suffering. There's a very big need for food and medicine. We're taking care of it.
Okay, and this is coming like what, a month or two
May
after he
4th,
expressed
2025, we're going to
reservations
help the
about
people of
providing aid
Gaza
to
get some
Gaza,
food.
and he even particularly recommended to Benjamin Netanyahu to cut off aid, and which then led to Netanyahu cutting off aid. And honestly, if he has said that he cares about the people in Gaza, he was a big fat liar. Because if he cared about the
He
people in
has
Gaza,
multiple times. And so May 4th, he says we're going to help
answer
the
this
people of
question.
Gaza get some food. People are
Is he
starving. We're going to help
is
them
he
get some
help?
food.
Maybe I might know what he's saying. Maybe he's going to help them get food by ethnically cleansing them all to Jordan and Egypt, because he said he was going to do that too.
No, it's called they're getting asylum in Egypt. I thought you guys
Ooh,
support asylum seekers.
ooh, I have a question.
Wait. So you guys don't support asylum seekers? And this isn't my main point. This is just a quick
I
point to
support
say that you
asylum.
just spread misinformation and
I support
13,000 viewers
asylum,
believe you.
but I don't
He
support
does
ethnic
support he
cleansing.
does support aid to Gaza. He might even recognize them as a state. So what would you say if he did that?
Well, what I
Would you
do,
support Trump in that?
so I would like you to allow me to speak. He explicitly expressed
Go ahead.
reservations about sending any and all aid to Gaza, and he said so publicly. And then he even recommended to Netanyahu to cut off all aid. And I mean, if like it's a month or two later now, and he's saying that he cares about the people of Gaza, I mean, he's a big fat fucking liar because of his intentional and express plan that he talked about at a press conference with Netanyahu to expel and ethnically cleanse the 1.2 remaining Palestinians living on the Gaza Strip. I mean, if anything, I know that you're trying to come up here, get a dunk, say that I'm the liar because in the last month he's expressed good, virtued intentions towards Palestinians. Okay, well, please tell me how. In one breath, he could say he wants to ethnically cleanse 1.2 million Palestinians living there. Then in the next breath, he could say
Called
he cares
asylum,
about
not
them.
ethnical cleansing.
Define ethnic
He
cleansing.
pressured Israel to reopen aid crossings.
Define ethnic cleansing. Yeah, look it up.
I'm telling you, it's
No, I hear you typing on your
asylum.
keyboard.
You're making the claim,
I
right?
hear you typing on your
Wait, you're
keyboard. You're doing
making
the
the
right
claim
thing.
though. I'm not the one making the claim that it's ethnic cleansing. You're making the claim that it's ethnic cleansing. I'm telling you it's asylum.
Right.
They're
And
going to Egypt
so
for asylum. You're saying it's ethnic
it
cleansing.
is ethnic cleansing. You were just typing on your keyboard.
It's
You were
not.
typing. Listen, sir.
So who's getting unalived?
Sir,
Hey,
would
let me
you
turn on
mind
your
if
camera
you
real
allow
quick.
me to finish? So you were just typing on your keyboard. That's what I want
Right
you
here,
to
the
do.
definition
Oh
literally
my
says
God.
the mass
Okay, now I'm going to
explosion
go ahead and
or
mute you because you're
unalivement.
interrupting me. So you're just typing on your keyboard. That's what I want you to
Of
do.
course you are.
I want you to type on your keyboard ethnic cleansing definition and read it out.
That's what I was trying to do, but you muted me. I says
Because
the
you
mass
interrupted me.
expulsion or unaliving of members of an unwanted ethnic. You just interrupted me. So the mass expulsion or killing of members of an unwanted ethnic or religious group in a society. They're not being unalived, and it's not a specific ethnic or religious group. It's called asylum seeking. They're seeking asylum in Egypt, which is what they need. So again, I thought you guys supported them getting aid, but you don't want them to get aid in Egypt. Second of all, he pressured Israel to
Before
reopen
we
aid
move
crossings
on,
on
the
May 19,
definition that you just
2025.
gave fits ethnic
Hold on, this
cleansing.
is a quick point. I don't even want to talk about Israel or Palestine. This is just
Okay.
to point out that you're spreading misinformation. He publicly committed he publicly committed himself to give food aid on May 4th, 2025. He reiterated support for food and medicine on May 5th. He had diplomatic discussions for aid on April 25th, 2025. He acknowledged starvation crisis on May 16th, 2025. These are all things that he's doing to recognize that they need aid, and he is promising to give them aid. So again, what would you say if Trump recognized them as a state?
Okay. So thank you so much. You made 3 points. The first point you made was to define ethnic cleansing, and you maybe gave me 2 sentences how you don't believe that Donald Trump's plan fits that definition. The second point you made was to give me a timeline of a series of events where Donald Trump has expressed on multiple occasions that he wants to give aid to Palestinians. And then the third point that you said was, what would I say if he wants to recognize him as a state? So we'll go top to bottom. So with the last point, what would I say if he wants to recognize him as a state? I'd be wary. Okay, the reason why I would be wary about that is because he's expressed that he believes that the Gaza Strip belongs to Israel. So if he did recognize him as a state, well, he'd probably only recognize parts of the Palestinian state as a part of the Palestinian state, which would just be giving other parts of the Palestinian state to Israel in the eyes of the US. So that could actually be a bad thing based upon the land and or region that he recognizes. And then once again, to your second point, you saying that he's expressed on multiple occasions that he's promised to give them aid. Well, he's also promised to ethnically cleanse them. So like, I mean, like what direction do we lean? Is he maybe saying that they'll have aid after they're ethnically cleansed in Jordan and Egypt? Okay, and then now this honestly bleeds into the first point that you made, saying that ethnic cleansing can be defined as the forceful expulsion or killing of a group of an unwanted ethnicity or religious or religion. Okay, so this is exactly what his plan is. So he wants to forcefully remove all 1.2 million Palestinians living on the Gaza Strip. The way he wants to forcefully remove all 1.2 million Palestinians living on the Gaza Strip is to literally kick them out of their houses, demolish every building that remains, flatten the land, and then expel them to Jordan and Egypt. And then once they are expelled from the region, he told Hannity on Fox News that he wants to give them no right to return ever again. And then he wants to build a Riviera and give it to the state of Israel. So his plan perfectly fulfills all necessary criteria of the definition of ethnic cleansing. Forceful expulsion of an unwanted ethnic group. All right. That is what he wants to do. That is what he said he's going to do. That is what he agreed to do at a press conference with Netanyahu. And my last point here is that you try to come up here acting as if I'm the one spreading misinformation. You're the one spreading misinformation, sir. And I just listed out many reasons why.
Yeah, with no source.
Sorry, I invited you to.
I gave you exact sources. Yeah, I gave you. Can you hear me? Because you were lagging a little bit. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Do you want to respond to any of the things that I just said?
Okay. Yeah, again, so those were all things that you said without any sources, and I gave you exact dates and sources as to how he's supporting aid for Palestine, which is what your initial claim was. That was misinformation. So none of what I said was misinformation. Those are exact dates and quotes from him. And then you also made the claim that he tried to creep on young teens in change rooms and pageants. Those were claims made from 2016 from BuzzFeed. And the clip that you played was him actually defending himself, saying they were grown women and that he's able to go back there because he is the owner. And there's even been other Miss USA, whatever, Miss Universe pageants, women contestants that have actually defended Trump, saying that those allegations are not true.
Okay. Well, I mean, you just contradicted yourself because you said that him speaking on the clip that I play is him defending himself from allegations that BuzzFeed made in 2016. Okay, well, that's a clip from 2005. How could he be defending himself against allegations made in 2016 in 2005?
I'm saying because there's allegations from probably back then. That's why he was talking about it. He was saying that he can go back there because he is the owner of the pageant. That's what he's explaining. And you made the claim that it was teens, and nowhere in that clip that underage contestants, none of them were mentioned.
Oh, okay.
And other contestants have actually defended Trump, saying those aren't true, like those claims aren't true, that he's a creep or anything like that. The girl tried making the claim. Hold on.
Oh, you have more.
Go ahead.
Okay, all right, I'll go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So you're saying that it was naked adult women that he perved on without consent while they were changing in a space with no.
He never said he perved on them. He said he was just able to go back there because he's the owner.
Would you consider going into a women's changing room where there's no men around and looking at the naked women as pervy?
I mean, you could. It depends, right? Like if you're saying so it's because it's a man, it might be pervy. Hold on. So you're arguing because it's a male? Okay. So would you be against like trans people going into women's bathrooms because it might be perving on women?
So I think that trans women are women, and I'm all right with trans women going into the women's restroom, and we could have a conversation about that. But I'm not going to allow you to scapegoat trans people as a way to evade my argument that is very commonsensical.
No, I'm just trying to see where you stand on this.
For Donald Trump to walk backstage into a woman's changing room and look at them while they're naked. I mean, that was a great attempt to pivot, but don't pivot. right? And then also you said that it was women.
You
It was
claim
not.
that it's pervy
I'm
because
gonna
he's a man.
you're gonna allow me to finish to speak, and then also I'd like to clarify here that you said it was adult women, it wasn't teenage girls. Okay, well I don't think that it's demonstrably worse if it was women that he unconsensually perved on while they were naked compared to teenage girls. But if you're curious, yes, this is something he did at Miss USA, which would be women, and Miss Teen USA. Yeah, yeah. So if you're curious, we actually know one of these women who was a teen that he perved on. Her name is Victoria. Victoria comes up onto this live
The
every once in a
BuzzFeed,
while, and Victoria will
BuzzFeed
personally
accuser.
tell you about how.
BuzzFeed.
So if you interrupt me again, I'm just gonna I don't know, kick you. I don't
Sure, you
know.
want to drop me for any reason. I'm sure you're looking for any reason to drop me, but I'll let you finish.
Wait,
Go
wait,
ahead.
wait. If I was looking for any reason to drop you, why would I warn you?
I'm gonna let you finish.
No, answer that question real quick. If I was just genuinely looking for any reason to drop you, why would I give you a heads up?
Well, it sounds like you're telling me that you want to drop me. You're like,
I'm just
letting
trying
people
to
know. I'm probably gonna drop him. The reason I dropped this guy is because he's interrupting me, guys. Just so all the 13,000 people in here know, it's not because I can't debate him. It's because he's interrupting me. But go ahead, please.
So, no, I just gave you a warning. I was like, if you continue to interrupt me every time I speak, I'll probably move on to the next guest. If I was just looking for a reason to drop you, what I would do is I would drop you and then tell my chat that I dropped you because you were interrupting me. No, but I'm giving you a heads up. I'm giving you a warning. I'm setting the boundary, making it clear. You continue to
Okay,
incessantly
thank you.
interrupt. I'll kick you, move on. It's as simple as that. But anyways, back to what I said. He did this to both teenagers and adult women. But if you want to say that he was talking about adult women that he did this to in that clip, can we agree that it's like very bad for like a man to perv on naked women while they're changing in their space where there's no men around? And then to defend it, saying that he could get away with it because of a power imbalance, that power imbalance being that he owned it? Why would I want to kick you when I have you in like a generational logical headlock here?
Again, you're claiming that he's perving on them because he's a man, right? Just inherently. That's why he's perving, because he's a man. He said he's back there because he has to make sure everyone's good.
Oh,
You're
no,
saying because he's a man, he's
wait, did you
pervy.
believe that? Wait. In the
That's
clip,
why. That's why.
even in the clip, it's set up as a joke.
You're
Like,
gonna interrupt me.
even in the clip, it's set up as a joke. So he says, like, in like a joking demeanor, like, oh, I just have to go inspect them, you know, like trying to apply any legitimate reason to him just going back there to look at the quote unquote beautiful naked women. And I mean, it's like this is a social cue that even like Howard Stern and everybody else on that radio show caught on. Like Howard Stern, when he said that, then laughed. And then the woman was like, right. Yeah, you have to inspect them. Right. And I mean, then even at the end of the clip, he says, I could sort of get away with things like that, which just like explicitly and verbally affirms that he's just going back there to look at naked women while they change. Okay. So I just want to clarify that when he says he's just inspecting them. Okay. Why would a business owner need to inspect naked women changing?
Again, I said he can go back there because he's the owner. Can you,
So you're basically saying that he has a legal ability to do it, therefore it's okay?
I didn't say anything about legality. No laws
Okay,
involved.
like if owners can just go into a women's private spaces like changing rooms or bathrooms. So I mean, if you were at a Walmart and the CEO of
No,
Walmart
you're
was
saying
there
men
and they
are
walked into
inherently
the
creeps.
women's restrooms, like I just want to clarify, you'd be fine with that? It'd be okay since they were the owner?
What?
Yeah,
No,
you said
I'm
that
saying
he
the
can
owner
do
of the
it. So I just want to clarify
establishment. No.
that you think it's okay because he was
example.
the owner. You think it was okay
So, for
for
example,
the man
if-
to perv on naked changing women
let you
without their
finish.
consent against their will because he owned the space?
So, for example, if there's a woman's bathroom and someone thinks there's something happening in there, the owner who has the key can legally walk in there because it's his establishment. Yes or no?
So you're saying that they have the legal ability, sure. I mean, I bet he did have the legal ability. There's never charges pressed. But I don't think that having the legal ability to do something makes it okay. Like, for instance, 250
But
years ago,
you're claiming it's not
having the
okay.
legal ability, people had the legal ability to rape their slaves. So are you saying that him perving on the naked teenagers and women was okay for the same reasons that it was okay in your eyes for a slave owner to rape enslaved individuals?
And that's where we differentiate in opinion. You think he's perving on them because he's a man, and inherently, I don't think men are pervs. So, because if you believe that men are pervs, any man that's inside a woman's space is perving on women, then that's.
I think that we
Oh,
should
you're gonna
just
mute
play
me
the
again?
clip. I want everybody to make
No,
sure that.
I'm just pointing out the fact that you muted me and you
Yeah,
were claiming I was interrupted.
I
But
am
go ahead.
muting you because I'm going to play the clip just so everybody
You can't
knows
debate me.
exactly what he's saying about. I'm debating you right now, and seemingly everybody thinks I'm winning, and so do I.
How can you debate me if you don't let me make an argument?
Well, because your argument is like incredibly perverted, incredibly morally grotesque, and has my mouth wide open.
Actually,
Like
yours is. You're claiming
I
men are
don't think
perverts.
that you
So are you a
saying
pervert?
that I don't
Hold on.
think.
So are you a pervert?
No, because I haven't walked into
Okay.
teenage girls and women's changing rooms to perv on them while they were naked and then talked about how beautiful they looked without their consent, against their will, while they were in a space with no men around, and then admitted that I could get away with things like that, then bragged that on top of hitting on a 10-year-old girl, on top of being held civilly liable for raping a woman, on top of agreeing with Howard Stern, calling my own daughter a hot piece of ass. So when you sit here and you tell me, oh, you're just calling him a pervert because he's a man, you're just calling him a pervert because he's a man. No, I'm calling him a pervert because he's a man that took advantage of his power, walked into a space that was for women, designed by women, with only women in it, that felt comfortable de-dressing, being naked, to change into clothes because there was no men around, that upheld that societal expectation in that space to be around no men, to then have that men walk into that space, look at them while they were naked with no clothes on, and then talk about how good they look. That's what I'm calling pervy, and the fact that you can agree with me, even as it relates to women, but sure as hell 15-year-old girls like Victoria is fucking insane. You're a threat to society. But let's go ahead and roll the clip because I just want to make sure
Can I reply
everybody
and crash
watching.
out like you did for a minute?
No, I don't think that you have a right to crash out like I do. But let's go ahead and play the clip for everybody listening that doesn't know what we're talking about. Because after I play this clip and then you start talking again, I want to make sure that everybody's on the same page. Okay? Everybody's on the same page. So let's go ahead and roll the clip. Keep in mind, everybody, this clip and the actions that Donald Trump is describing that he's done in the clip that I'm about to play, it's only around 40 seconds long, is something that this guest is describing as non-problematic, okay, and non-perverted at all. Let's go ahead and roll it.
Interest, but you know, it's the kind of thing you worry about later.
Oh, I see.
You tend to think about the conflict a little bit later on.
The question is, how can it not be construed?
No, I mean, some of these foreign girls, you know, Mr. Trump, in my country, we say hello with the vagina. And
Well, you could also say, as the owner of the pageant, it's your obligation to do that.
So you have done that. Now, tell
Well,
me
I'll
what-
tell you the funniest is that I'll go backstage before a show.
Yes.
And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else. And, you know, no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. You know, I'm inspecting.
Right,
I want to make sure that
You're like a
everything is
doctor.
good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? You know, they're standing there with no clothes. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible-looking women, and so I sort of get away with things like that.
Defend it.
So you claimed there was So you claimed there was teenagers involved, underage contestants. Where in that interview, where in that clip do they mention underage teenagers?
Oh, yeah.
And that's where the claim was. And then also,
The reason,
hold on.
you don't expect me to answer your question?
I mean, I was gonna make two questions, but go ahead.
Yeah.
Answer that one.
The reason why I make the claim about women and teens is because we know one of those teens. Her name's Victoria. She comes up here frequently.
Right, and that's when I told you that her claim was made on BuzzFeed in 2016. So anyone who wants to believe anything that comes from BuzzFeed
So she's been talking
from
about it since
2016,
2016? Okay.
go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah,
So just don't
she
believe
waited
that it
until
hasn't
he
hurt.
ran for president. If she had, maybe credible evidence, not a BuzzFeed claim.
Well, I mean, I think his
I
admission
mean,
is
if would have went to the
credible.
police, maybe like sued him. Be a lot more credible than going to BuzzFeed and making a wild claim in 2016.
So
But
I think the clip I
regardless,
just played
right,
is credible
so
evidence.
that's just to point out you misconstrue everything.
The clip I just played is credible evidence. I mean, by the way, if anybody in here like has Victoria friended, feel free to send this live to her. I'd love for her to come up.
You're interrupting every time I speak, just so you know.
I don't really care anymore. And I don't really think anybody watching has any massive
destroyed?
problems either with me muting you and kind of interjecting and cutting in and like saying things that are incredibly relevant to what you're saying. But I think maybe one big takeaway here is that you're just denying that this happened to teenagers. Okay. Well, I can't wait for Victoria to come up here and tell you her story, then just have you victim blame her too. But
Anecdotal evidence.
But I think what's important here is it's not anecdotal evidence when it's corroborated by Donald Trump's own admission of guilt. Is in that clip, Donald Trump is definitely talking about doing this to women. Okay, and I don't think that it's any more wrong to do this unconsensually to women than to teenagers. right? And you were saying that him doing this to women was not wrong, not problematic, completely acceptable, completely fine and okay, and not pervy. So how about we address that?
What, the fact that it's not perverted?
Sure, defend that claim after listening to the clip that you just heard.
Yeah, you're claiming it's perverted because it's Donald Trump because he's a man, or so again, what is the reason that you think it's perverted?
Yeah, well,
Because
I mean,
would you do the same? Because
I've
if you
already
because is it
detailed.
because if
Oh,
you
you're
went in
asking me a
backstage?
question.
Hold
You
on.
don't ask me a
Well, you
question.
first hold on. I'm trying to answer. So you made the claim that he called them beautiful. Apparently, that's perverted. Now, if you recognize a woman as beautiful, or if you recognize a woman as pretty, or if you call her pretty, apparently that's not perverted. Also, you
Guys, do
claim,
we want to take a poll on how many brain cells this guy has? This guy's an idiot.
dude, why are you getting so triggered?
Do I sound triggered?
You are. You're literally insulting me now because you can't debate me and you're starting to mute me. I've never seen this from
Wait,
you.
I
Actually,
just want to clarify.
Right.
Like, not every time like person A calls person
You're acting
B.
up.
One moment. Not every time person A calls person B an idiot, or like says that person B doesn't have many brain spells or isn't that smart. That's not always indicative of somebody being upset, angry, triggered, or wrong. Like sometimes like people are idiots. Like I think when you set forth the precedent that whenever anybody calls anyone else an idiot, they're automatically wrong and triggered. Well, the implication there is that there's zero idiots alive. Okay, that's not true. Some of us are idiots, and my claim is just simply that you're one of those people. All right. The reason why I
Fine,
claim
and you
that
should be able to like defend your point of view. You should be
yeah, I'm defending it right now. So the reason why I think you're one of those
instead of ad
people, the
hominems,
reason
you know?
why I
That's
think
ad
that,
hominem.
one second, the reason, no, an ad hominem is disputing your argument with a personal attack. I'm just personally insulting you. But
That's what
anyways,
you just
the
did.
reason
Yeah.
why I think that you're an idiot is because you think the fact that Donald Trump has called a woman beautiful in the context of that clip where he's talking about unconsensually walking into a woman's changing room, looking at naked women, and then
Unconsensually?
calling
That's
them,
a wild claim.
and then calling them beautiful is like probably the issue. Like the reason why I'd call that action perverted is I fear commonsensical. So we have these things called societal contracts. These could be implicit or explicit. I'll give you an example of an implicit societal contract. An example of an
Which is what
implicit.
has to
One moment.
support
One
trans
moment.
women going into their bathroom.
Don't interrupt me. An example of an implicit societal contract is the idea that when you go to a restaurant, you implicitly accept that the food you order is something you will pay for after your meal. All right. You know, it's not like you have to explicitly agree to that when you sit down. It's not like you have to explicitly agree to that when you get a table. It's something that you implicitly accept. And I mean, like, we see these implicit societal contracts in schools as well. You know, like it's an implicit societal contract that if like you're a 45-year-old dude, you can't just walk into an elementary school classroom. And another place where we see these implicit societal contracts are like in women's restrooms or like changing rooms. And like oftentimes it's even explicit. But there's definitely like an implicit understanding and contractual agreement between the people and like a safe and sancted in a safe place, such as a women's changing room, that these individuals are only comfortable with de-dressing, taking their clothes off, being naked, and putting new clothes on because like it's just a space with other women like them, right? And I mean, like Donald Trump even like mentions this in the recording that I just played because he says there's no men around. It's a space just for women, right? So, I mean, if there's a man that goes into that space, like A, it's going to be violating that implicit contract, violating the implicit consent of all of the women in that space that have taken those clothes off. And that's going to be perverted because the intentions of the man in this circumstance was to look at them while they were naked, right? But they weren't naked so they could have a man look at them. They were naked so they could get new clothes on, surrounded by other women in a women's changing room. All right. And then he takes it one step further by saying, when he's unconsensually looking at these naked women that didn't get naked so any man could look at them, but rather so they could change, that they looked very beautiful. All right. And I think that's very violating. It's violating for the reason that he's violating their consent. It's violating for the reason that they're not naked for a man to look at them. And it's violating for the reason that when he did non-consensually look at them while they're naked, he then turns around and talks about how good they look. Right. And I think that Donald Trump like recognizes like these violations of these implicit societal contracts and of consent, because at the end of that clip, he says that he could get away with these things. Okay. Well, you don't say that you could get away with good things. Okay. Because we should do good things. Right. When you say that you could get away with things, you're saying that you could do bad things and face no consequences. Anyways, there's why you're wrong and there's why you look crazy.
Okay. So I mean, I'm glad that you were able to speak for like a solid 2 minutes. Am I able to respond now?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah, I mean, you just made a great argument as to why trans women shouldn't be allowed into women's spaces because the women in there, don't agree. They didn't sign anything explicitly saying that, yeah, I'm okay with someone who was born a man going into my changing rooms. That's why I pointed out your hypocrisy, and you wanted to deflect from that. So again, if you're claiming that a man shouldn't go into a woman's space because men are going to look at them and are going to be inherently creepy, so then that's why we shouldn't let trans women into women's bathrooms. That's an amazing point. Thank you for that amazing argument.
Yeah. So I have
But
reasons
again,
why I still think that trans women should be able to use women's restrooms, and I've already asserted and addressed that. And I mean, I'd be interested in giving you an argument, but the only reason why I'm not interested
no, I don't
in
need
giving
one. It's
you
okay.
the only reason why I'm not interested in giving you an argument right now is because you're just using this to pivot. You're using this to pivot away from the fact that you said
Amazing
that
you
you
brought that
found
up. Yeah.
nothing wrong, nothing perverted about Donald Trump going into that space. Right? And I actually find it funny that you're trying to pivot away from your position, that you find nothing wrong nor perverted about Donald Trump walking into the women's restroom and my dismissal of your point. And then you use that to pivot a trans woman going in the women's restroom.
I will address that
It's
right now.
actually funny because then
Can I
the
address that?
implication here is if you think that my position would logically imply that trans women shouldn't be able to go into the women's restroom because I think it's wrong for Donald Trump to go into a women's changing room, well, your position would imply the inverse, meaning that you think your position implies that trans women should go into the women's
And I
restroom.
haven't.
But this transphobe
my argument.
won't admit that. So
I
that's
haven't
why your pivot is disingenuous, and that's why
That's not
your
something.
pivot is intellectually flawed. But no
I think-
pivots. I want you to
muting
stay.
me and not being able to.
Yeah, I'm muting you because you're interrupting me. It's not disingenuous to uphold decent boundaries.
You haven't let me speak.
But I don't expect you to understand this because we are unironically debating
Speak yet,
decent
though.
boundaries.
Because you're losing the debate, but that's okay.
I'm not. Once again, just upholding boundaries, no interruption. That's the
You're
boundary.
mute. You are losing.
We'll
Letting
wait
you
for him to
speak,
finish.
Let you speak for a solid
We'll
2
wait for him to
minutes.
do the thing. He's doing the thing. He's freaking out like a toddler. Sometimes you can't reason rationally. You just have to, do it emotionally like they do. This is like putting your toddler in timeout for 10 minutes. We're spam muting him until he stops interrupting me. But anyways, I wouldn't expect.
trying to unmute.
And there he goes. There he goes. We'll wait.
I wasn't trying to unmute.
There he goes. He's still interrupting me. But I just want to clarify. This is predictable. Like this guy doing the whole, it's your fault that I interrupted you and you're the bad guy for enforcing a boundary by muting me when I interrupt you. We would expect that from this guy. He doesn't understand boundaries. He's defending Donald Trump violating the boundary of women in a women's changing room. But anyways, the final point. Without pivoting this time, tell me why I'm wrong. Convince me that the long list of reasons I gave you, while it was wrong and pervy for Donald Trump to go into the women's changing room, tell me why my argument's flawed. Go ahead.
Right, because other contestants from the pageants have defended him, saying he was not perverted. He was very professional. Again, you're implying that he is perverted because he called them beautiful. I think you can call a woman beautiful and
No, he's
obviously
perverted
someone
because he went into the
Okay,
space
so
with
I can't make an
point-blank
argument because you're
period.
crashing out. Go ahead, crash out again, Dean. Go ahead.
I'm not crashing out.
Not surprising.
You're just
Not surprising from someone that needs to intake nicotine, but go ahead.
I'm not crashing out. You're just misrepresenting my argument. He was perverted because he was in the space point blank period.
Okay, so because he's a man, he is okay. That's fine. Amazing argument, Dean.
You went into the
So
space with a
I'm glad
negative
you brought up the
intention of looking at
deflection
them
though,
while
because
they're
the
naked.
reason
Yep.
you even brought this up is to deflect from the Southern and immigration problem. When the girl brought that up in the first place, when the girl tried to bring up immigration, you deflected and you always run from immigration, which is actually why I came up here in the first place, because I'm a Mexican immigrant myself. But again, just to make it clear, just because he called him beautiful doesn't make it perverted. He had full access to that whole building, so it was his pageant. Other pageant members have defended him, saying he is not perverted. He was very professional, cordial. The people that have accused him, they accused him on BuzzFeed in 2016. Again, you said they were teenagers. The clip was talking about adult women. It might be wrong. Yeah, I think it's wrong that a man looks at an adult woman that's naked without her consent. And I think if they felt...
What if one of those contestants was your daughter?
Okay, so you muted me again. I didn't realize you muted me. I don't know how much you heard.
What if one of those contestants was your daughter? So
I would be
let's
proud
just
that
go
they're
through like a line of the things that Donald Trump has done. So in 1992, he told a 10-year-old girl that he'd be dating her in 10 years.
I'm glad you brought
So
that up. 'Cause
let's assume that
that's what helped.
one moment. Let's assume that 10-year-old girl was your daughter. Okay. Donald Trump tells your daughter that he'd be dating her in 10 years. 10 years later, she's 20. It's 2005, and she's at the Miss USA pageant backstage, naked getting dressed. Donald Trump walks into there, looks at her while she's naked, then goes on Howard Stern's podcast and says that he could get away with it and she was super beautiful. And she did that without your daughter's consent. How would you feel?
So just to be clear, you're more afraid of your daughter being creeped on by Donald Trump, the president of the United States, than, a man dressed up as a woman going into the women's bathroom, just to be clear.
So this is your third time you've tried to pivot to talking about trans women.
Just to be clear, I'm
not
just
gonna
asking
allow
for a
you to pivot to
clarification.
Trans women.
Okay, that's what I thought. So, you just made a crazy hypothetical. What if this was your daughter who became a Miss Beauty pageant? Trump talked to her at 10 years old, and then she became 20 years old. And that's the craziest hypothetical ever, and you can't even address the point that I made. That's actually very relevant. The fact that you think your daughter is in more danger from the president of the United States, Donald Trump, than by any guy who can put on a wig and a dress and walk into the women's bathroom.
Yeah, you continue to try to pivot to trans people.
I don't want to talk about.
That's the fourth time, and I think that it's funny that you try to. So I think it's funny that this whole time you've just wanted to pivot to a conversation about trans individuals.
I'll leave it at that. I don't want to talk about trans people.
I begrudgingly, I haven't given you my argument on why I think that trans. Hey, buddy, don't interrupt me. I haven't given you my argument on why I think that trans women should be able to use the women's restroom, because when I do give you my argument, you'll just simply use it as a tool to pivot away from the only conceptually relevant thing here, in which is that you deny that sick men are sick men, and I think that you should fucking, dude, I think that you should lose rights for that shit. Like, you shouldn't be allowed to have children, you shouldn't be allowed to get married to a woman. I think that you're a threat to society, you should lose rights for that shit. But that's neither here nor there. Overwhelmingly, right, if you're curious on what my response would be to the 5 times that you've tried to pivot to trans women using the women's restroom, I think segregating the restrooms on the basis of gender identity to compare it to sex is actually safer for both the cis and trans women in the space. The reason why I say that is because if we do segregate the restrooms on the basis of sex, that means that trans men, females, should be using the women's restroom, but trans men can be more masculine or just as masculine presenting as cis men because of the effect that testosterone has on any human body. So when we segregate the restrooms on the basis of sex, it allows for more masculine presenting individuals to go into the space. Meanwhile, if we were to segregate it on the basis of gender identity, relatively speaking, it would allow less masculine presenting individuals to use the space because trans men are more masculine presenting on average compared to trans women. So basically, there would be a lower there'd be a lower likelihood that a cis man would be able to claim themselves as a trans woman and take advantage of women in the space compared to them simply claiming themselves as a trans man, right? So there's the argument. Finally, I'm finally.
I made it clear I don't want to talk about it.
Of course, you don't want to talk about it because you can't beat me there either. That's fine. So then don't try to pivot to it 5 times to call me an idiot hypocrite just because you want to deflect from the one point you can't deflect, which is the fact that if that 10-year-old girl was your daughter that Donald Trump said he would date in 10 years, and then 10 years later, she was a contestant at Miss USA, and then he unconsensually walked in on her while she was naked, and then went on a podcast and blasted about how beautiful she was with her boobs out, how would that make you feel? How would that make you feel, sir? What do you think, that he was a pervert?
You just made the claim unconsensual. You just made the claim unconsensual. Are you saying that people don't know that they're changing in a changing room?
I'm saying that they don't consent to a man walking in on them while they're changing in the changing room. Yeah. I feel like that's kind of common sense.
Okay, so just to be clear, every woman in a woman's space should consent to who is going inside?
Every woman in a woman's space agrees to the implicit societal contract that it is once again a space for women. As you pointed out, it's implied in the woman's space, just like every person that buys a meal at a restaurant agrees to an implicit societal contract that when they're done eating their food, they're going to pay for it.
You just made my
that's the implication of women's spaces. So then once again, please answer the question. If it was your 10-year-old, you're not going to say shit because you got fucking owned. See, this is the burn. This is the burn, buddy. How does it feel to get absolutely intellectually mobbed by a motherfucker that is a billion times more intelligent than you, more wise, more mature, and better than you in every regard whatsoever?
Your ego is just huge and you're crashing out. Want me to turn my camera on?
God, it's fucking crazy because I don't even have an ego. You're just a fucking rock, bro. Anybody with half of a brain, anybody with half human, human decency would mog the fuck out of you. This isn't about ego. I'm so sorry. My fucking family dog could claim that they're infinitely more intelligent than you and they'd be right. My fucking 2-year-old toddler could make the claim that they're more intelligent than you and they'd be right. So it's not about an ego.
Is this new for you, the whole crashing out, or is this just me?
If you think that this is a crash out, you obviously haven't been here long enough.
I mean, you're yelling over me and you muted me. I didn't see you do that to anybody else that was up
Yo,
here. when
Milo,
they're
thank you
very
so much for the
unintellectual.
$15 over on PayPal. I appreciate you for the claim,
smart,
Milo.
you don't
One
mute
second, I'm thinking donors. Milo with $15. Milo says, I watch you in the background while I draw.
Who donated to me? Thank you guys.
Shh, I'm thinking some donors. Milo
The 3.1K.
Shh. Milo says, thank you and happy Pride Month, Dean. Happy Pride Month, Milo. I appreciate you for the $15 over on PayPal. As well as Celine, thank you for the $15 on PayPal as well. Shout out to Milo and Celine down below in that chat. I really appreciate you guys so much for the love. I'd also like to thank, let's see here, Ali for the $50 on Venmo. This was about an hour ago. I just hadn't been looking at my phone because I was just destroying this guy for an hour straight. God, I'd hate to be this guy right now. Ali says, I missed the live yesterday due to work, but thank you. I watched it this morning for what you said about mental health in schools. It should be a much bigger priority. I agree 110%. Thank you so much for the $50, Ali. Show some love to Ali down below in that chat. And then Christine with the $50 on Venmo 10 minutes ago saying that this current sexual assault sympathizer caller is insane and a danger to society. Kudos to you for dealing with that. Thank you so much for the love, Christine. Show some love to Christine down below in that chat, and that's absolutely right.
Condemned SA and grape.
No, you don't.
Condemn that.
No, so I have a question.
I do.
How come that you'll
just did it
condemn
right now.
rape, but you won't condemn a man unconsensually walking into a woman's changing room and perving on them while they're naked?
You're the one making the claim that it's perving on them. I'm telling you that he wasn't perving it on them. So
Okay, sure. We'll replace the word perving with looking.
based-
So how come
based
you'll say
on
that
what
grape
some
is bad,
others-
but then you won't say that it's wrong for me
Based
to
on
unconsensually walk into a woman's changing room and look at them while they're naked without their consent against their will, and then go on a podcast and blast about how good
that
their
you
boobs
have to
look?
mute me. Why can't I talk? The fact that you have to mute me proves that you can't debate me, dude. Again,
wait, I'm so
you're
sorry.
making the claim that he
Why
is
should I respect your wants, your thoughts, your desires, and your feelings about me
Pageant.
intruding upon you by muting your microphone when you won't respect the thoughts, feelings, and desires of women changing in a woman's space, in a woman's changing room, and yet you don't think it's wrong for men to walk into that space? I'm not so sure that you're concerned with
You
consent,
support-
so why should I be concerned with your consent?
Dean, you support women going into women's bathrooms. I mean, trans women going into women's bathrooms. So
Okay, let me
again,
know
you're
when
being
you're
a
done.
hip.
I didn't mute you. You muted
I
yourself.
told you it's not perverted because you.
Oh, now it's a MAGA mobile. I'm not even muting him. I don't know what's going on. I'm not muting him. Hands in the air, guys. Anyways, I guess he's figuring out whatever he wants to do. So let me know when I could speak. I have my hand up.
Yeah, I get to speak now. Finally.
I guess I should say one more thing. So this is now your 7th time bringing up that I support trans women in the women's restroom. For the first 4 times you brought this argument up, I just told you that you were
amazing
One moment.
arguments as to
One
why they
moment.
shouldn't go into those bathrooms.
One moment. The first 4 times you brought this position up, I just ignored it. I said you're pivoting. Address the substance of Donald Trump perving.
No, I don't want to talk about
Okay.
trans people.
So Torta, this is why I've
So I'm not
muted you.
pivoting to that.
This is why I've muted you, because you interrupted me. So can you stop that? Can you stop interrupting me and allow me to finish?
Wait, you said we can interrupt each other if we misconstrue each other's arguments, and that's what you just did to me.
I'm not misconstruing. I'm not misconstruing your argument because I'm not even talking about an argument that you gave. I'm talking about the points in which you've brought up, like the fact that you've responded to me referencing Donald Trump unconsensually walking into women's restrooms and changing rooms 7 times, and then all 7 times you responded to that by bringing up the fact that I'm okay with trans women going into women's restrooms. So the first 4 times you brought
Yeah, I
this up,
brought up the fact that
Okay,
other pageant members
Torta,
defend him and say he's
Torta,
professional.
So Torta, I am going to go ahead and kick you if you interrupt me one more time. I'm making this boundary clear, and the reason I'm making this boundary clear is because if you violate the boundary and you interrupt me again, I'm going to move on, and I'm going to consider you to be a runner. Like the only reason that you could have to interrupt me one more time would be the fact that you want to run from me because you cannot take my intellectual wisdom and my great debate performance. So obviously, if you interrupt me again, that means that you've lost, you bow out, and you're running because you want me to kick you. Got to talk like they do. Got to use their own reasoning against them. But anyways, right? So you brought up the counter argument of saying, Dean, well, this must imply that you don't support trans women in the women's restroom. The first 4 times you brought this up, I just simply called out the fact that you're pivoting and told you not to pivot. And then the 5th time that you brought this up, I finally entertained it. I gave you an argument why I actually think it's better for the safety of all women in the women's restroom for trans women to use the space. And then when I gave you the argument, you didn't respond and you said that you don't want to talk about it. Okay, well, if you don't want to talk about it, if you don't want to refute my position, then don't fucking bring it up. But yeah, man, without pivoting to trans women this time, respond to the meat on the bone. And if you need me to repeat the meat on the bone because you're so lost and stupid that you probably can't track a single 2-syllogism argument, let me know and I will repeat it for you.
Okay, I'm gonna talk now. I'm sorry that I'm triggering you. I'm sorry you're getting mad. So again, I'm gonna repeat it. Carrie Prejean defended Trump. She is Miss California USA 2009. She defended Trump, stating in her 2009 memoir that he is very professional and respectful, defending him against the accusations. So this suggests that, Trump was not being creepy. He was being professional and respectful. So why haven't you addressed that claim? The fact that other contestants in his pageants have defended him, saying that when he does go backstage, he is professional and respectful. And again, it's very wild that you use these claims from like 2001, 2000, whatever, early 2000s to deflect when that girl was bringing up immigration. You're a runner, dude. You're a runner. You're a track star.
Okay, so I actually debated that last woman on the live, not a girl, on immigration, as well as, I don't know if you weren't listening closely, but Tony, the guy that was left over, said that he came up here to talk to me about immigration. He asked me for my view on immigration, and I gave it to him. If anything, you're just deflecting. And then to respond to the first claim that you made, that there's been a lady that's defended him at the pageant, saying that he was professional and respectful. Well, earlier you told me, when I brought up Victoria's experiences of her being 16 and Donald Trump going backstage and looking at her while she changed, you said that you can't believe it because it's merely speculatory allegation. So it's funny that you could believe a woman when she says that Donald Trump is professional and respectful, but you can't believe a woman when they say that Donald Trump is not professional nor respectful. But I think let's go ahead and just believe her when she says that Donald Trump is being professional and respectful. Okay, well, what now? Well, I know what now, because it's not just an allegation that he wasn't being professional or respectful. He admitted to it in the clip I played. Like I find it very difficult to defend the view that Donald Trump walking in to a woman's changing room just to look at them with no clothes on. Is that professional? Because that's what he admitted to.
That's not what he admitted to. That's uncorroborated. And again, you're just making assumptions. You're claiming that he went in there to look at them undressed.
Could be a conflict of interest, but it's the kind of thing you worry about later.
Oh.
Yeah, please.
You tend to think about the
You also made the
conflict
claim
of
teens were
interest.
The
involved.
question is, how can it not be construed?
No, I mean, some of these foreign girls, Mr. Trump, in my country, we say hello with vagina. And
Well, you could also say, as the owner of the pageant, it's your obligation to do that.
So you have done that. Now, tell
Well,
me
I'll
what-
tell you the funniest is that I'll go backstage before a show.
Yes.
And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else. And, no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. I'm inspecting.
Right,
I want to make sure that
You're like a
everything is
doctor.
good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? They're standing there with no clothes. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible-looking women. Where I'm inspecting it. I'm inspecting. I want to make sure that
You're like a
everything is
doctor.
good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? They're standing there with no clothes. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible-looking women. Where I'm inspecting it. I'm inspecting. I want to make sure that
You're like a
everything
doctor.
is good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? They're standing there with no clothes. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible looking women. And so I sort of get away. No clothes. I want to make sure that
You're like a
everything is
doctor.
good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? They're standing there with no clothes. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible looking women. And so I sort of get away with things like that.
So what was that you're saying?
Did that make you feel like you won the argument?
I think, yeah, it did.
Hold on, did
It-
that
the
make you
re-
feel like you...
Yes, the answer to your
That's very
question is
mature.
yes. The reason it makes me think that I won the argument is because the very last thing
You're a
that came,
child, Dean.
the very last thing that came out of your mouth is that it was an
Frontal lobe hasn't
uncorroborated
developed.
false claim that he went in the rooms to look at the naked women. Yeah, I win. Thanks.
No, I think your frontal lobe hasn't developed, Dean.
Oh, personal insult. You lost.
No, that's not a personal insult. That's actual factual evidence. How old are you? How old are you, Dean?
I'm 20.
Exactly. Your frontal lobe hasn't developed, Dean. It's
Right.
not a personal
Right.
attack. It's just truth.
Yeah. No,
So
I
again,
get
so
it, man.
you
Cope
use these
Steve.
claims
Cope
from-
Steve.
you use
Cope
these
Steve.
clips-
Cope Steve. Please do it. Continue to cope Steve. I love it.
This is why you don't do nicotine, kids. Calm down, Dean. So
I-
again,
oh,
this is
guys,
exactly...
guys, I love
Okay.
the cope and the seethe. I love it. It's so cute.
Bro, I'm completely calm. You're freaking out over here, and I'm
No,
trying to
you're
reply.
not completely calm. Like I played you a
trying to
clip of
reply
Donald
to the-
Trump contradicting what you said, and then you just started
trying
talking
to
about like
reply
a lobe.
I'm trying to reply to the clip you just played.
Feel free.
I'm trying to reply to the clip you just.
Oh, wait, before you do, I
Wait.
gotta thank Peter for the $50 donation on Venmo. Peter
Oh,
says,
thanks,
here's-
guys. I'm at 3.6 now. Thank you, guys.
Oh, he doesn't like the donations either.
Donations, guys.
Oh,
Thanks for the rose. Thank you, guys.
Oh, are the
Appreciate
donations
it.
making you crash out?
Make sure to follow TortaP on TikTok and every other platform.
Is the fact that Peter
Kidding,
donated me
guys. Just
$50 just to say that I fucking
Thank
destroyed
you, guys.
this
Thank
putrid
you, guys.
Wait, can I read
Thank
you
you,
off?
guys. Can we go to immigration now? Because I'm a Mexican immigrant.
Oh,
So,
you
I
wanna
mean, that's the
pivot.
main reason I came up here. I just
So
wanted to prove every
I need
bit
to-
of misinformation that you pointed out.
I need
Also,
to,
like the Diddy and Kamala thing. Kamala thanked Diddy for
I need
hosting
to,
the
oh, hey,
2020
hey,
town
man,
hall.
stop crashing out,
He
please.
said, "Thank you, Diddy."
Hey,
Hey
please, sir.
everybody, it's good to be
Please,
with you this evening.
please stop crashing out. I was in the middle of thanking Peter.
You always
I'm gonna need you to stop crashing out. This guy's crashing out, everybody.
I was playing a clip of Kamala.
You're crashing out. I was thanking Peter. Would you mind giving me?
okay.
Okay, then stop interrupting me while I thank my donors. Peter, thank you for the $50.
I was just thanking my donos, guys.
Oh, geez, this guy is crashing out. Peter with a $50 over on Venmo for destroying this putrid excuse of a man who's just exposing himself as a standard, insecure, coward, MAGA predator. Yeah, I fucking destroyed this guy. Now he's crashing out. Thank you for the $50. As well as Adriana, thank you for the $10 over on Venmo saying, can this guy get some brain cells? No, he can't. Natalie with a $20 saying, please keep muting him. Dude, I'm just destroying him this whole time. Oh, wait. Boom! I'm going to mute you because Natalie paid me $20 to do so. Marina, thank you so much for the $10 over on Venmo. Melody with a $20. Thank you so much, Melon Y. Thank you so much for the love. Thank you so much for the love. I also really appreciate you, Jasper, for the $6 over on Venmo, as well as Odessa with the $10 on Venmo. Mariah with a 200 Norwegian dollars over on YouTube Super Chat. I appreciate you guys so much for the love, as well as Andrew with a $20 over on PayPal. Money to the sea. Thank you for the love, Andrew. And Gerardo with a $200 donation on Venmo. Gerardo with the $200. Wait, 1 second.
Let's go.
Share.
4.1K. Let's go,
Sure.
guys. I love you guys.
Sure, I have to
You guys are the
thank
best.
Gerardo for the $200 donation over on Venmo for destroying this coward. Let's go. Let's get 2,000 Gerardo W's
Should
down
we
below in
debate
the
about
chat.
immigration?
Sure, I'm still thanking Gerardo. Please, thank you.
Oh,
Thank you
okay.
so much for the love,
Thank you
Gerardo.
guys for
Let's
the
get
donations.
2,000 Gerardo W's down below in the
Thank you
chat.
guys. You guys are fucking awesome.
Yo, can you say W Gerardo?
Thank
real
you,
quick?
Uncle Jovi. You're awesome. Thank you, Kaz. Kaz with the sass. Definitely sassy. Matt Amaya. Oh, wait, no, that's to you. Never mind. Uncle Jovi. Damn, still going. Times 68.
By the way, the stream
Thank
can't
you.
hear you right now because
Koi-
you have to
Koi
mute
Price,
and you have
thank
to
you. That's
mute and
fine.
unmute your mic for the
That's
TikTok
fine.
stream in order to hear you.
That's okay. Thank you guys for all the donations.
Could you thank Gerardo for donating me $200?
No, he didn't donate to me.
Okay. All right, man.
Guys,
I'm
if you support Mexican immigrants, make sure to donate.
gonna go ahead and just
That's,
give you
that's it.
yeah, this man can't even hold a conversation anymore. All right, I'm gonna kick you, but before
Are you going to run away? You don't want to debate immigration?
I've just destroyed you as is. You could like
You're running your
request,
track star?
you could request up a different day to debate immigration. I'm
away.
definitely done with you for the day.
Dean's going to run away from Torta Patrol. Clip that. Dean, let's just debate immigration, bro. Why don't you want to debate a Mexican immigrant about immigration? Are you afraid of Mexican immigrants? Do you not like Mexicans? What is it? Why are
That
you
was cringe. I've been talking to you for an hour, and I don't think I've said.
Yeah, you
one
went in
single
circles
word.
about something from.
I was just gonna say I've been talking to you
You
for.
went in circles about something from 2006, dude. No one cares about what happened.
Dude, I've been
Talk
debating you.
about what's happening now. Why can't you debate about what's happening now? Immigration.
I've been debating you for an hour, and I haven't been able to get a single sentence out. That's why I'm gonna kick you.
What are you talking about, bro? You crashed out for a solid 2 minutes. I literally have it all recorded.
That's
I'll
why.
make sure to
That's
clip
why.
that. Hold
That's
on, I'll
why.
make sure to
That's
clip
why.
that.
That's why I'm
I'm
gonna kick
literally
you,
gonna make a video of
dude.
you
If
saying-
you want to stay up here and debate about immigration, then stop interrupting me. If you seriously, if you want like the highest level of like possibility to stay up here and debate me and debating me about immigration, you just gotta stop interrupting. But anyway,
Set a timer.
there we go.
Set the timer.
Before I consider debating you about immigration, I'm going to need you to respond to the last claim you made. So the last claim that you made was that Donald Trump did not go into the changing rooms with the naked women to look at them while they're naked. I then played you a clip where he explicitly said he went into the changing rooms with naked women and he looked at them while they're naked. Respond to that, and I'll consider
Yeah,
debating
you played
you
a
about
clip
immigration.
where there was a joking humor demeanor, where Howard Stern made a joke prior to that saying, "Oh, Mr. Trump, I pay you with my private parts." So obviously they're joking around, and then Trump made the joke about how he can go backstage and look at women that are naked because he's the only person allowed to go back there. And then I told you how other contestants, other pageant members have made it clear that he was
Oh, so I
very
just want to make
respectful.
clear. I just want to be sure that you don't think he actually did this.
Okay. I thought we weren't interrupting each other, Dean.
No, you're not interrupting me. That's the deal. So I just want to make sure that
No,
just to be
talk
clear,
about losing a
that
debate.
you don't think that he actually did this?
I didn't say that. He definitely went backstage. It's very clear he went backstage
you said he was
because
joking.
one of the contestants weren't joking about. I said they had a joking demeanor about what he was saying. He was saying, "Oh, they're all naked."
Okay, so regardless if you think he had a joking demeanor, you still admit he actually did it. Thereby, you also admit that he actually walked back there to look at them while they were naked. Boom, get fucked. You lost.
You're gonna run away now, or?
No, I just pointed out.
reply?
I just pointed
No,
out the fact that you
I
just got
just told
fucked.
you.
I just pointed out the fact that you got fucked. The only way that you would be able to uphold the position that he didn't look at them naked backstage is if you uphold that it's something that he didn't do. So even if you argue that
That he
had
looked
a
at them
joking
naked
demeanor
backstage.
when he was talking to Howard Stern, well, you could say that he was joking, right? But apparently, according to you, he was joking about something that he actually did.
He's joking about why he was going back there when he actually went back there. Again, pageant members who are not Trump, who weren't in a joking setting.
Oh, yeah, I was joking about why he went back there. All right.